Hi. Um, this series I think is going to be called The Clot or The Cling. Yeah, I think it should be called The Clot or The Cling question mark, because it's where I'm asking this Muslim what he thinks Quran 96 should be called, and then we get off on other stuff, you know. But mainly, I think it should be called "Oh Muslim, is it the Clot or the Cling?" I might call that. From the way things are going, I think I'll call that series this. Okay, so and beginning now. By the way, when I do his words, I'll be using this side of my face. Yeah, this side of my face. And when I use my words, I'll be using this side here. Okay. Plus, I'll be giving this mock Arabic accent for him. Okay. All right. This is what they teach you. The secret of the trade. Trying to make confusion. Yeah. This is what they teach you. The secret of the trade. Trying to make confusion. How am I confusing you? I'm just asking questions. You seem to be resorting to confusion yourself. Can a fly confuse a giant olive tree? What? In vain, like always. Can a mountain confuse a giant olive tree? Billions and perhaps trillions have been allocated for the purpose of confusion. And they say God is love. How have I confused you? Explain it, please. Your God is confusion. Same as Trinity. How stupid you people. My God has nothing on your Allah, who only made it appear that Jesus went to the cross when secretly taking Jesus up to be with him in heaven, and putting Quran 568 in the Quran, telling Christians they have nothing to stand upon unless they stand firm upon the Injil, which makes no sense if the Injil is corrupted for talking about the cross and resurrection for Jesus defeating sin and death for us. The surah's name is the surah Quran 96 is named Al-Alaq. I was just reading about 7 translations, and all but one are translating alaq to clinging substance. I am not a scholar nor a linguist, but I am Arab, and I know my language. All the translators are non-Arabs. If they don't get the sense of the word right, at least they should put the literal meaning. In this case, alaq equals cling. If you are right, and not taqqiya-ing, line for Allah, how come it says in the Quran that an embryo is a clot of congealed blood? It's not in that surah called the Clot. If it's not in the surah called the Clot, like in the Quran. By the way, I want to tell you something. It's not in that surah called the Clot, like it's in my Quran I have next to my bed. Yeah, it should be called, he's telling the truth, yeah. By the way, this is from Wiki Islam. This is from Wikipedia, not Wiki Islam. Surat al-Alaq, the Clot. Okay, is the 96th surah of chapter of the Quran, is composed of 19 ayat, verses or signs, and is traditionally believed to have been revealed at Mecca at Cave Hira. It is sometimes also known as Surat al-Iqra, or Iqra, read. You sure you aren't taqqiya-ing? Which Quran has it as the cling? Which version? If it does mean the cling, well, doesn't that mean the Quran has been changed and corrupted to have it all as the Clot, you know? Oh, by the way, yeah. I'm trying to give you first-hand information. Forget the wiki. Forget about Wiki Islam and Wikipedia. And go fetch a dictionary. It starts with Iqra, read. So, some some like to name the surah after the beginning word. The formal meaning of the surah is al-alaq, that is the cling. End of story. Okay, well, this is Yusuf. I'm going to give the Yusuf Ali, the Pickthall, and the Shakir translation, English translations here, in that order. Yusuf Ali, Pickthall, and Shakir of Quran 96:2. Created man out of a mere clot of congealed blood. Created man from a clot. Created man from a clot. All three famous translations in English got it wrong, you say. How could they if the surah is called the cling? See, Sahih International. Quote, created man from a clinging substance. I bet that version of the Quran was written after we found out about embryology and after the translations of Yusuf Ali, Pickthall, and Shakir. True? Okay. If so is the meaning, then we don't want it, because we have more prettier meaning for that three-letter word cling. If so, how come the surah is called the clot and not the cling? And again, how come only Sahih International seems to have it as clinging substance and not the way the three famous English versions of the Quran have it? Is Allah trying to cast doubt to send people to hell? Or was Mo just a cult leader who didn't know true science due to his living in the 20th century? Due to his living in the 7th century. You know? Is it that way? Every word in Quran has multitude of meanings. So why stick to clot while cling is literal and has broader meanings including clot? Well, again, how could people make such a mistake and change it to the clot? And how come it says in that chapter, that surah, quote, clot of congealed blood and not clot of cling? You know? I don't care about English and the translation wrong or correct. We read the Quran in Arabic and we understand it in Arabic. When you need to study medicine, they will not teach you anatomy in English. Heart and brain aren't English words. When you want to study your holy books, you must know Hebrew, or otherwise you'll get D or F. Right. However, you don't need to know Hebrew or Greek to know the meaning of the book that says Jesus died on the. You don't need to know what Jesus did on the cross. Is living in the 7th century a shame? Didn't Muhammad's people excelled in algebra, medicine, and many sciences? Geometry? No. They pirated those who had the time to figure them out, rather than waste time with their patooties in the air, if you ask me. Muslims are like the Borg in Star Trek. They assimilate that which they conquer. They don't invent. You should watch Star Trek. Muslims, I tell you, they're like the Borg. Star Trek is your kids' culture. Our culture is not fiction. Ask the universities in Spain and in Sicily when the European barbarians came begging for knowledge and wisdom. Guess where universities came from? Do you think they came from mosques and madrasas, or from monasteries? As far as I know, the only thing that comes out of mosque is people memorizing the Quran and brainwashing to believe Jews are apes and pigs, who the Mahdi and Jesus will help Muslims to kill someday. This is truly what alaq means. You get taught by somebody, then hate him as if he is your enemy. We are not saying it is a favor, because it was a responsibility towards the welfare of all mankind. That was Islam, and the message still exists and never changed a millimeter, but people changed. How do you get that when the clear signs says man was once a quote clot of congealed blood, quote clinging thingy? How do you get that? Moses and Jesus lived prior to the 7th century, so there's no shame in that, you 21st century idiot. He's trying to do taqqiya-ing diversion. Yeah. I have no problem with people living before me. I do have a problem with Muslims denying the fact that 7th century science is part of the Quran. That time was a torch that enlightened humanity. Well, it's a candle now. I didn't know Muslims burned people at the stake back then anyway. We have no versions of the Quran. It is only one version. If so, then how come when I bring up how my Quran sounds stupid or evil, a Muslim usually says, quote, if you only knew the original Quran, you'd know blah blah blah. Sounds like there are a lot of versions of it, and only the Quran is supposed to not sound evil or stupid when it's in Arabic. Do you know, my friend, that the Arabian Peninsula would be green with rivers in the future, and Europe will become dry and turn into a desert? Did you know that the book that makes mention of Europe says something similar? But why should Europe become desolate? Isn't the whole world supposed to fall under Muhammad, Allah's control someday? How dare you say we challenged the outer space and named the aircraft Challenger? Was Challenger destroyed by stars in the Earth's atmosphere shooting flaming missiles at it, or was it destroyed from a lack of shielding when trying to re-enter the first zone of the Earth? Did the space challenge you? What? Come on to the Quran challenge that challenged not only men but also the jinn to partner and bring forward a mere 15-word surah. Easy to do. Want me to write one? That is the real challenge, and you can't even make an attempt. Oh, really? You really believe this? Okay, well, how's this? Number one. This will be ayat 1. Worship Allah, the merciful, the nice. Obey us, and you will be rewarded. For we know your ways. We know your coming and going. No one can challenge us, for none is like us. He who does good deeds shall be rewarded. He who associates with us shall experience the fire. Obey us and our messenger, or feel our wrath. We are ever watcher over thee. It is Allah and His messenger that you know something? I could go on like this if you want me to. Well, what the fire means? What the hell? This is kind of fun. Okay, chapter 2. Ayat 2, verse 2. Is it Allah and His messenger that you shall obey? Is it Allah and His messenger that you shall obey? Oh, humankind, do you think you can escape our wrath if you go your own way? Nay, we are ever watcher. We know every secret place. The fire is ever waiting thee, if thou shalt not turn to the straight path. Though we misguide when we please, for Allah is mighty and knowing. And who is like unto us? Nay, no one, O foolish mankind. The fire waits for those who turn from the straight path, unless you fight in our ways. Then shall enter into gardens of plenty, and taste our plenty. Virgins with dark eyes shall serve thee, as you and your companions recline on pillows. It is because of our mercy that you have entered paradise. Woe to those who we guided off the straight path. It is they who thought they could escape our will. They did great error in forgetting that we, Allah, are most wise, most knowing. You see how easy that is? I just made that up off the top of my head. I made it up the top of my... And guess what? You can argue all you want, but anyone who reads what I just wrote will say, gee, that sounds kind of like the Quran. Get it? Like the Quran? That's all I need to hear to prove to me that anyone, like I just did, can bring something like the Quran. It's up to the reader to judge if it's better than the Quran, but that's on the eye of the beholder, what I just wrote.